Really, Sam Heughan admits, my feelings for Caitriona Balfe are real. But the cold wind of late summer. San Diego Comic-Con, where the stars of Outlander gathered to bid farewell to the emotional end of a 10-year journey. The bright lights of the backstage, the bustling crowds, but amid all the noise, Sam, in casual clothes, with a new buzz cut, felt his heart being pulled somewhere else, to the day he first met Caitriona Balfe on the Scotland set, where the two became Claire and Jamie, then soulmates. He stood in front of the Star's logo backdrop, realizing how much he had learned from her, her sophistication, her intelligence, and a love that went beyond performance. In that moment, he knew, his feelings for her were not an act, smiles in the sea of people. San Diego, 5 p.m. A crowd filled the large hall outside the main auditorium, where the Outlander crew was about to take the stage. There were screams, cameras flashing, signs reading, Jamie plus Claire forever, held up as a constant declaration. Through it all, Sam Heughan kept his professional smile, the one he'd grown accustomed to after more than a decade in the spotlight. But today, the smile was different. Something was off. She walked in. Caitriona Balfe. Tall, lithe, eyes as clear as an autumn lake. Her emerald green dress made her stand out amid the flood of flashbulbs, but Sam didn't need dresses to see her stand out. She always did that, walked into a room and slowed things down. Like that day, in 2013, the first audition. Their eyes met. 1 second, then 2. Neither of them said anything, but in that look was a whole 10-season series, cold days in Scotland, realistic kisses and, the quiet, almost love, feeling that existed between the two of them. Caitriona smiled, tilting her head. Sam nodded slightly, as if he opened his mouth now, something would slip out and be impossible to take back. They stepped onto the stage. The entire cast took their seats. But when the host began to speak, Sam couldn't hear anything clearly. There was only one sentence in his head, it was real. But what, Sam? A voice in his head said. He had no answer, not clear, he only knew that his heart was heavy, and Caitriona's eyes when she smiled at this moment, gentle, beautiful, made him ache. Fast forward to after the exchange. The wings, where the lights were dimmer, only a few sparse laughs remained. Sam leaned against the door, a can of mineral water in his hand, cold. Are you okay? Caitriona walked over, her curly hair falling over her shoulders. Yeah, okay, Sam answered, avoiding her gaze. She smiled, tilting her head to look at him. You've always been a bad liar, you know. Sam laughed, softly. Do you remember? He said softly, the first time we filmed the scene where Jamie said he loved Claire. Yes, I forgot my lines. Not that I forgot. It's just, there's something in your eyes that makes it impossible for me to lie anymore. Caitriona said nothing. The wind blew softly through the narrow hallway. She wrapped her hands around her paper coffee cup, swirling it gently. If I asked you again, that question today on stage, would you tell me the truth? Sam looked at her for a long time, then nodded. I would. But, not here. But, 3 weeks later. Glasgow. Light rain. Autumn rain fell on the cobblestones, making the old alleys of the city centre seem like an old love song. A small bar tucked behind a row of steamy windows, the Velvet Fox, was a place where Sam and Caitriona used to hang out when the crew wrapped up a long, late-night shoot. No paparazzi, no fans, just dim yellow light and old jazz. Sam sat at a table in the corner. A thick sweater draped over his shoulders, a glass of whiskey untouched in front of him. He didn't drink, he couldn't. The door opened. A bell jingled. Caitriona walked in, her raincoat on, her face slightly flushed from the cold. She smiled when she saw him. You always sit here, she said, shedding her coat and sitting down opposite. Because it has a view of the rain, Sam replied, trying to keep her voice light. Or is it because this is where you said the first thing that made me blush? What did you say? If Claire doesn't love Jamie, Sam will love Caitriona. They both laughed. But only for a moment. She looked straight at him. Her eyes were bright, but deep. You said in San Diego that your feelings for me were real. But the question hung in the air. This time, there was no crowd, no spotlights. Just the sound of rain and heartbeats. Sam looked down at her hand. The hand that had held her in hundreds of scenes, that had touched her cheek when Jamie had whispered, "I will find you." But the same hand, that had known to keep its distance at just the right moment, because of what he was about to say. "But I can't say that when you have a family," he said, as softly as the wind. Caitriona was silent. Her eyes closed, as if the words had touched a layer of memory she had locked away for a long time. "I know you're happy with your life right now, and I respect that, but if I don't say it, I'll never be able to move on." She opened her eyes, her gaze sparkling, whether from emotion or from the rain. "Sam, all these years, I've always wondered. If things had been different, if you and I hadn't met in those circumstances, would we have?" "I think so," Sam interrupted, without hesitation. They were silent, each of them locked in their what-ifs. In the hundreds of times their eyes met but didn't dare to hold on for long, the artistic hugs that felt like real heartbeats, and the late-night texts that only dared to start with "good night," because anything more intimate could make everything burst like a soap bubble. Finally, Caitriona spoke up. "So what are you going to do now?" Sam smiled, sad, but relieved. "I will continue to be your friend, your confidant, your shoulder if you need it, but also someone who keeps just enough distance, so as not to break any hearts." She nodded, slowly. A tear rolled down her cheek, but her smile did not fade. "Thank you for being real, even if it was only in my heart."